Hello again. Today we're going to look at a lab that involves the anatomy of a flower. So I've collected some samples of flowers from around my neighborhood, and we're going to see if we can identify these different parts of a flower in our samples. Now, particularly I want to look at what is considered a perfect flower, meaning it has both the male parts, the stamen, which has the anther and filament, and the carpel, or the female parts, which are the stigma and style and ovary, all on the same flower. In some flowers, they're different, and they're imperfect flowers. So to start off with, I'm going to look at this little flower here. And you can see quite obviously that these anthers and filaments are hanging off here. And just pull one off with a little tweezer. Those are the male parts of the flower. That's the pollen. That's what you want to blame if you have hay fever. The center of the flower is where you have the stigma, which in this case is closed up. It would have been a little bit open and sticky in order to catch the pollen from the male part of the flower. It's got the style leading into the ovary, and we will open that up in a minute. On the bottom side of the flower, if you move these other leaves out of the way, you can see there's these special leaves that are at the very base of the flower called the sepal. And then here is your fat ovary. So we're going to cut right into that and see if we can see those structures. This sounds terrible, but I'm going to pull these petals off my flower. These are used to attract insects and pollinators to come and move the pollen around for them. Cut in here. Right, I'm going to try and cut right through the center of my flower so I can open it up and show you the inside of that ovary. And you can see these little ovules are actually going to burst open and fly off in the air eventually. They're very light and feathery. Very akin to a dandelion that might have that white fluff on it that you blow off in the wind. And the wind is a vector that will bring it to a place where it can land in the ground and begin growing. So let's look at a different example. Here, this is a rose taken from the front of my house here. Again, you can see the sepals, see the petals. It's really sad. We'll pull all the petals off. Give us a good look at these tiny anthers on the outside. The anthers are on the top there. And then you've got the filaments, these little white filaments. They've already mostly done their job here. If you're very, very careful, you can see the opening of the stigma here. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to be careful with a knife. You can use sharp scissors or a knife. I prefer scalpels just because I'm a little more comfortable with using them. A little more accurate for me. I'm going to cut right down into that pedicel, which is that supporting structure of the flower. Cut right through the center. Open it up, and again, I'm going to see those ovules on the inside. Just like in the other plant, only these ones are not quite as right, but they are the same type of structure, very fuzzy and thin. Each one of these can make a little baby rose plant. Now this one may be a little harder to get into. This is a Scottish thistle. I love these things because they remind me of where I grew up. They're very, very sharp, so I'm trying to be very careful. Notice all these beautiful purple filaments and anthers here. I love it because this just reminds me of home. It is the Tudor rose. They're absolutely beautiful. This is a different kind of flower. More composite flowers. These are all the little individual seeds that are going to come out. Not sure if I can get into seeing the ovaries on this one. You gotta be very careful working with these because they're a little sharp. Maybe I'll just pull some of these off. Notice the sepals in this case are covered in thorns, as is most of the plant. I'm going to pull them off so they're less likely to hurt me. Make an incision down the middle. There we go. Open it up, and the ovary itself has kind of opened up, and that's what you're also seeing here. So each one of these is an individual seed that's going to blow off in the wind. Again, it's another perfect flower. You can see the little yellow filaments and anthers. You can see the sepals on the bottom. Just need 2 or 3 of these to complete a lab. Take a sketch, draw them, open them up and see how these are more of a ripe ovary where they have actually produced each one of these individually is what we call a composite flower. Each one of these individually is like a little ovule. I'm not going to take the time to cut all of these open on video, but you get the idea. These flowers here are each individual. As a note, there are many different kinds of flowers. I showed you some where they have one stigma and one ovary. There are some that contain several stigma, and they end up having a composite flower where they make a bunch of little flowers, and really there's only one ovule at the bottom of that, but they all congregate together and make these kind of composite flowers. So you'll notice that when you're looking at your different flower specimens. I just want to make that note. But you go out there, enjoy, find as many specimens as you can, and cut them open, look inside, and label your parts, take a little sketch, and you've got a nice little lab.